Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another video. Those of you who have been watching my channel for quite a while now will know that I'm a huge fan of the Champions Hockey League, as it brings all the best teams from across the continent together and sees them go head to head in order to see which is the best team and the best nation from across Europe. Now, because I'm such a big fan of this, I decided to see if I could go and talk to somebody within the Champions Hockey League and kind of get their thoughts on the league, the system that they have in place, their plans for the future, and everything like that. And luckily, I managed to hit gold on something, as earlier this week, I had the chance to sit down and conduct a 40-minute interview with the CEO of the Champions Hockey League, Martin Baumann. We sat down and we chatted about all sorts of things to do with the Champions Hockey League, from how the COVID pandemic has affected the league, how the league started and kind of had its resurgence a few years ago, and how it's got to the point it has today, his thoughts on certain arenas and teams, the season so far this year, the 21-22 season, and how he felt that's gone over the last few weeks and months. And yeah, I just had the chance to sit down, have a really casual conversation with Martin, talk to him about all the Champions Hockey League, give him some of my thoughts, he gave me some of his thoughts, gave him some quick fire questions at the end, which he kind of struggled with a few of them, but no, he did a great job, all things considered. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here is my roughly 40-minute interview with the CEO of the Champions Hockey League, Martin Baumann. Enjoy, folks. So I'm joined here by a very special guest on the Odd Man Rush YouTube channel, somebody who's very high up within European hockey, the CEO of the Champions Hockey League, Martin Baumann. Martin, hi, how are you?
Thank you very well. So far, okay, perfect.
Good, glad to hear it. Now, thank you for taking time out of what I can only imagine is a very busy schedule for you, especially with the Champions Hockey League season well underway at this point. So, appreciate you taking the time. I've got a few questions for you today about all sorts of stuff, but I thought the best place to start would be to give you a chance to, introduce yourself to my viewers. I've got a lot of viewers in North America who might not know necessarily who you are or what the Champions Hockey League is. So I thought I'd give you the chance to just introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. Actually, as I said, I'm Martin Baumann, more than 50 years old, since a couple of years in this business. Actually, not a hockey player. Never was that in the past. I have a lot of passion for sport in general, but I was working in banking for more than 23 years, actually, in Switzerland and mainly across Europe internationally. As I said, it's my 8th season. For an obvious reason, with COVID-19, there was no season last year, which was a shame, but I think it was pretty smart to cancel the league. But as I said, it's now our 8th season. We started August 26, very successful in Europe again. And I think you don't have many chances in life to build a product like Champions Hockey League is from scratch. And I mean, that is something which is really amazing to build a brand, to develop a brand, to develop a product, and to start with such a product after so many failures, to be honest. Again, with a solid fundament in Europe, with 32 teams now, I think it's great to do that with a team, very close. I mean, it's a 24 hours job. You need a lot of power, a lot of energy to run such a business. But in the end, I think it's great fun. Great fun to develop hockey in Europe, in so many different countries. Is an amazing story.
Oh, wonderful, and I completely agree. So that's a rough overview for you guys listening or watching as to who Martin is. Now, you covered a bunch of stuff there that I want to go into a little bit more detail about over the next kind of 20, 30 minutes or so. So you mentioned that your background was in banking in Switzerland. Yep. So how did you get into hockey? How did you get to where you are today as the CEO of the Champions Hockey League then?
Well, after working so many years in banking, I tried to find a job with a bit more emotion, to be honest. And I mean, I found that in sport. Definitely, I've finalized an executive MBA on a university. And during that time, I really started to really think serious about changing my life and doing a total different job. And then, of course, you need a lot of luck. I mean, I met a few people and they introduced me and this journey started. And as I said, you need luck and being on the right time and then, show your skills. I mean, yes, finance, that was my thing, but then you have to, when I got the job, you have to trust on your people, on your team. There's no need to understand during that time the rules. But I think in the end, it's puzzling things together, working with people, listen to all the requirements in Europe, clubs, leagues, federation had. And start building on a vision and a mission, and that was we developed that together, and now you can see where we are.
Absolutely. So you say it's more so about finding something with a little bit more emotion in it, and I think there's nothing more emotional than professional sports, especially hockey, where you have some die-hard fans all over the world, as I can imagine you've seen from travelling all over Europe watching games. So another question I had was, we hear the title CEO. It's obviously quite high up within the Champions Hockey League, one of the highest positions within the organisation. What does that mean to kind of the everyday hockey fan? What does your role as the CEO include? And what's your day-to-day schedule kind of like as the season goes on, and even during the off-season when you're preparing for the next season?
Well, to be honest, and to start with the off-season, starts right after the final in March or end of February. And actually, it's a much tougher time until the season starts, because by then, let's start from there, you have to prepare the next season. Because already at the World Championship, we have our draw. So that means we have to follow all the leagues, find out who is qualified. As soon as we have on a Thursday, on a Friday night, a team from a certain league qualified, we have to public that. We have to calculate, and we have to see, okay, is it right that we have this team on board? But then we have to start the legal work. We have to set up all the legal documents so that we really have at least 32 teams set beginning of the playoffs, latest in May when we have the draw. By then, we have to make sure that we have the draw procedure in place. We do this very famous TV show where we draw the teams against each other. When that is done, we have to prepare those teams. I mean, there are lots of books and manuals are written by then. So, for example, by then we have to produce the club manual, which is the guidelines for every single club. As I said, above we have the legal documents, but this is our Bible. They have to follow those ones. So by then we have to arrange all the communication workshop with all the clubs, the marketing workshops. So we meet those clubs, we visit them. Last year it was a bit difficult. We had hundreds of video conferences. So we start teaching them, telling them what is the goal, what is our mission and vision, and make sure it's like in football. I mean, our goal is that we have every venue looks like the same, that they communicate like this. So it has to be one voice policy. And then, of course, I mean, from there until summer, I have tons of board meetings. I have the General Assembly meeting where I have to present the results from the last year, the budget process. So I have to make sure that I have the money to contribute again, a lot of prize money year by year, and so on. And then we start preparing all the marketing stuff. I mean, my team is then traveling through Europe and visiting all the venues. I mean, they have to measure all the ring boards, and they really have to make sure that everything venue looks the same. At the same time, we start the campaign on the website. We have our own website, our app. We have our own statistic tool, which is very, very high sophisticated. So we have to start training all the statistic people from every single club. So that's another huge task. They have to teach them and really make sure that they understand the gadgets and the tablets and everything. So coming to the summer is most likely the most easy month. It's July, because by then mostly the Swedish or the Nordic offices are closed. So that's the only month the whole year where we have as well a break. And then very soon in August we start with the press conference, because by then we have to inform all journalists in Europe and overseas that we start. So that's by then we really start traveling a lot. Not this year. This year we had a lot of online conferences, but mostly in the past we were visiting Sweden, Finland, Czech, whatever. Just to bring again and to tell the journalists and media, hey, in a few days we start once again with the next season.
I think.
And then.
No, sorry, carry on.
No, it's cool. Just go ahead.
I think just hearing all of that, I think a lot of fans don't realise just how much work goes into preparing every single season. Obviously, it's quite naive, obviously, to think, oh, you just need to get the players on the ice and get ready to play. But I think, obviously, with the role that you have within the Champions Hockey League, you're obviously overseeing a lot of this stuff. So you have to look at the bigger picture a lot more than most people.
As I said, I have to rely on a team which have a sport director, have a marketing director, have an event director, have communication specialists, have web and IT specialists. So I have a team at Infront Sports Media, our marketing partner, which does the whole implementation. But we also have to think about on strategic thing. I mean, it's our goal to really invite a lot of fans. So I mean, fan engagement, all the social media channels. I mean, we feed them with modern tools, with gadgets, with games. So I mean, a couple of years ago, I mean, with our limitation on the budget, I mean, we cannot run a campaign with posters and stuff like this. We have to use all those digital campaigns. So I mean, to write the dollar or the euro on the right channel, you have to analyze those things. So we did a fan survey with more than 20,000 to see where the fans have their needs. So I mean, again, it's also a goal from us to teach the fans in Europe to explain, okay, what are the speciality from a team from Luleå or from Skellefteå or from Liberec or from Cardiff. So I mean, this is also something which is very time consuming to make sure that we bring across those stories so that we connect people, that we connect fans when they travel abroad, forward and backwards.
Absolutely, and I think it also goes to show how you as the CEO, you need to have people in charge of these various divisions that you not only trust, but you trust to be able to delegate the jobs and the all of the roles that are required in order to get everything ready for the next season.
Exactly. I mean, this is not a one-man show. I mean, this is a team with a lot of enthusiastic people which work 7 days, 24 hours. They love hockey. And they love to organize those things. They like to see the success and the step we do year by year, increasing number of spectators, increasing number of followers on all those channels.
Absolutely, and I think I speak for most Champions Hockey League fans when I say the league itself has seen a huge uptake and a huge increase as the years have gone on. I think within the kind of European landscape, especially in the UK, as a British hockey fan myself, like we obviously love the Champions Hockey League. We love having a team there because we're kind of seen as one of the underdog nations there, and to see one of our teams, obviously Nottingham and Cardiff and Sheffield and the Braehead, when they were back known as Braehead, having success and gradual success as the years have gone on has been great for us. And I can only imagine for a lot of the other teams around the other nations as well. It's huge, and it brings more eyes onto the game, not only to the Champions Hockey League product, but to their domestic leagues as well. So having the Champions Hockey League is great.
Totally agree. I mean, in the meantime, people or fan groups and teams asking me, please, can you do me a favor and draw a British team to our group, because they realize, man, how great it is when a team from Great Britain travels to Europe. And I mean, Cardiff, even when they lost. I just came back yesterday from St. Petersburg, where we had the IHF Congress. And I was traveling with Arno Del Curto, the famous coach from Davos. And I mean, he just remembered when he played Cardiff. I mean, we were laughing, had a few beers, and had really some fun. I mean, the experience we had with those ones. I mean, I remember. I mean, I was in Cardiff. I was in Nottingham. I was in Sheffield. I was visiting Braehead. I mean, the atmosphere I had there before and after the game was amazing. I mean, this is extraordinary. So it's exactly what we like. And when fan groups start to travel to other countries and visiting other teams, that's definitely a great story.
Yes, us as English hockey fans, we always say there aren't enough of us, but we're loud enough for the ones that aren't there. So absolutely. But let's shift the attention to kind of one of the darker days within the Champions Hockey League, and that's obviously the 2021 season that was unfortunately cancelled due to the COVID pandemic. And obviously the pandemic affected everything and every single sport, every single hockey league. But I think the Champions Hockey League, given the fact that you guys need to travel from country to country, it obviously had one of, if not the biggest impact on your guys' league because you were unable to run it. So what do you think, considering it's been, before this season started, almost 2 full years since we'd last seen Champions Hockey League action, what effect do you think the global pandemic had on the CHL, and how was the league able to rebound from that for this season and be able to come back, what you could argue, even better than ever?
Well, good question, or lots of questions. I mean, first of all, I think we were the first property who really took the decision and took the plot. And I think, yes, it was a tough one. It really hurt because, I mean, we were in the middle of the whole preparation. Everything was done. I mean, we were totally ready to start. I mean, then we postponed. That was went from a normal schedule to this playoff format. This was, But then we realized it will not be feasible. I mean, traveling from the north to the south, from the west to the east, it wouldn't be. It would create a disaster with lots of costs involved. So I think it was rather smart to cancel. And then, of course, I had to really take care on the cost side, because by then, we were already spending a bunch of 1,000 or 100,000 of euros, and I had to make sure that we reduced the cost. So that means people had to go on short-term work. We were already in home offices, but then we really had to reduce and make sure let's only do the minimized stuff. I still had to run the board. And those things, and we had all those crisis meetings, but the goal was really to reduce costs, but on the other hand also to prepare and to find the right timing to start again. I mean, those months were also brilliant for us to prepare and to do our homework for the upcoming season, which started a couple of weeks ago. So we were using this time thinking strategically, what are the goals we would like to achieve, and we did that. So I mean, thanks that we started again this year, but it was a tough one. And I think in the end we had a blue eye, got a punch in our face, but I think we came even stronger out of the whole crisis, to be honest.
And I completely agree. And I was going to go on to say that despite all the issues that the Champions Hockey League faced over the last 18 months, 2 years, with not being able to play, and like you mentioned, having to limit the amount of costs going out from the Champions Hockey League, almost like a phoenix, it's kind of risen from the ashes, and it seems to be doing better than it's ever done before. And well, what are your thoughts on the overall growth of the league, not just from the pandemic to now, but from when the Champions Hockey League was revived several years ago? And where do you see it going over the next few years if things keep going the way that they are?
Still a bit disappointed, to be honest. I mean, I think what we hear so far from coaches, from players, the product should be higher than it is right now, to be honest. Serious. In certain countries, I think the turnaround started already. In certain countries, we're still struggling to attract fans. I think the players, as I said, and the coaches, and even media started to like the product. But for a certain reason, it's hard to attract and to bringing fans to the venue. So, for example, in Switzerland, I mean, we expected much more since we have no restriction anymore except the 3G concept with the corona. We expected to have more spectators in our venue. This was not the case, so we really have to work on that one, because what we saw so far on ice, when I listened to certain coaches, presidents, CEOs, I mean, they are so impressed about the quality already in August, beginning of September, but the fans hasn't appreciated to visit and to support and to cheer for their teams. Maybe there is too much hockey. I mean, we thought after such a long period, fans are horny to come back to the venue, and they really love to see live games. That's one thing. Maybe they are, on the other hand, they also have had to learn to see those games only on TV. So maybe there is not even a need anymore to go for a live hockey game, which I totally don't understand. But there is some trends. I mean, even on league games, we realized the last couple of months in Europe that they had much less fans than in the past. Maybe they're scared or afraid still to visit. So time will show. I mean, I think October, the next round will definitely will be crucial for us to see how it goes. Since we had in Sweden much more spectators than expected. I mean, there they have a very low restriction, it was not allowed to have a lot of fans, but at least those ones were totally sold out. But I mean, with such a low level, it's not a huge thing. But I expected more, especially since the feedback from as I said, from everybody is really going that direction. But maybe we need another champion. Maybe the hockey fans in Europe are a bit tired to see always Sweden as a champion. My wish is that I have 4 teams in the semi-finals from 4 different countries. That's the best. Having only a dominance from Finland or Sweden, especially Sweden, yes, it's definitely not helping us. Maybe a team from Great Britain, from a smaller country, would help to really, heat the whole thing a bit for the other nations as well.
Absolutely. I think obviously with an inter-Europe competition, you want as many different teams from as many different nations going as deep as possible, because then, like you said, it brings fans from all over the continent together. But are you potentially able to share some of the discussions that you've had as to the steps you might take to try and make it not so disappointing and try and lift up the responses that you've had from places around the league?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I do that at every board meeting. This 2 weeks ago, we had a board meeting where we shared all very transparent, all the figures, and we discussed all the pro and cons. And I mean, it's not a hidden thing that we have after 23 a new contract in place where we should or will reduce the format once again from 32 to 24, because we believe the less the better. So like in football, a couple of years ago, not yet. I mean, now they're increasing, but we think the less team, the better. The quality will by then increase. So make this whole thing more exclusive. So another thing which we decided already is after 23, there is no other hockey game on a Tuesday. So Tuesday will become exclusive for Champions Hockey League. So, I mean, those are all steps which maybe help. But, I mean, to bring in more spectators, I mean, I have hundreds of recommendations to the clubs. I mean, we really... It's not only about these 60 minutes on ice. It's more about the whole entertainment to really create this special atmosphere in a venue, and that is something where we use all the times good examples. So teaching them by good showcases, and we were using quite often teams from Great Britain, how their fans cheer and how they attract people and things like that. So. And that is a good example. On the other hand, revenue-wise, I mean, is it good to integrate those games into the season ticket? I think maybe this year it's a thin line. Maybe you have to do it due to the Corona situation last year. So many fans paid too much last year. So why not contributing them something for this year? But on the other hand, I believe if a ticket costs nothing, it's not worth. I mean, have a look at football. I mean, there you pay 3, 4, 5 times a normal league game for a ticket. So I think the quality we show and the teams we fly in and is worth to generate some revenue on the ticket side as well.
So based on what you said, it sounds like the dialogue between the Champions Hockey League itself and the teams and the organisations taking part is quite an open dialogue, and they're able to provide ideas to you, you're able to come back to them. How often do you guys, you as the Champions Hockey League, talk to these teams, like in these board meetings? How frequent are they, and is the dialogue as open as it seems?
Yeah, definitely. It is very open, and I mean that's my goal. When I'm traveling every day when we have games to another country, visiting another team, and there I really start with the president, with the CEO, with the GMs, but I go also to the locker room. I would like to get the feeling from the referee. I mean, otherwise I cannot make the product better, and the whole team does that as well. So it's not only a CEO job, it's also job of a sport director or a marketing director. They visit exactly the same people just to get the feeling and to listen to those guys. Okay, where is there some progress necessary? And as soon as we recap every game day 1 and 2, game day 3 and 4. So we summarize those things and immediately we share best experience. We even have an award. I mean, marketing is given an award for the best marketing activities per our league, per team. And the reason for that is that we can collect officially smart ideas and we share those ideas around the other clubs. So, I mean, quite often the team from Belfast, for example, I mean, they went like hell for this particular award. And it's helpful for other teams. And I mean, Czech teams are probably not that active on those things. They have not the same fan community. So why not sharing those ideas? I think there is no rivalry between teams from different countries. I mean, there is only you can only learn if you hear and listen what they did and what was successful.
It's good.
So, for example,
no, sorry, carry on.
Just one sentence. One team just was brilliant in selling jerseys because I mean they were so impressed about our clean jerseys without tons of advertisement. They really liked those ones, and they sold hundreds of jerseys. So I was using this business case now to see how much profit is feasible if you go this line. So it's just additional free lunch. So.
Absolutely. It's nice to know that all of the teams, and obviously the changeover in teams every single year, the rivalry stays on the ice. They leave it all on the ice and away from the ice. And once the games are done, it's all the teams and the Champions Hockey League working together to try and see how they can make the product as accessible, as entertaining, as fun and exciting as possible. That's really good to hear, especially from a fan perspective, where we obviously love to see the on-ice product, and seeing the way that the Champions Hockey League has gone over the last few years, it's clearly paying dividends. So it's good to see. But I want to talk about some of the fun stuff now. And I'm glad, Martin, that you mentioned that you've done a lot of traveling as part of your job as a CEO. You go to a different team, a different match every single game day to get the thoughts and opinions of not only the executives, but the referees on the ice and even potentially fan experiences as well. How's the travelling been so far this year in the COVID situation, and obviously all the restrictions that have been in place and testing and everything? Because obviously I live in the UK, but I'm in Montreal at the moment, so there was a lot of testing and quarantining stuff that had to be involved there. So I can only imagine that you having to travel so often, it must be an absolute nightmare. But also, are there any interesting travel stories that you have to share? You've got to have something for me here, Martin.
Well, it's in general, it's very interesting, and I mean, you need a lot of patience and a lot of nerves to do that, because I mean, you have to you start already on PC to fill in all those forms and to prepare yourself. Otherwise, it's no way. I mean, I did a PCR test last Friday when I traveled additionally, and I'm vaccinated. I mean, I have all the certificates, but I had to do an additional PCR test when I traveled to Russia. And I had last week, believe me, I had three tests during the whole week. So I mean, it's a nightmare. But I'm more than willing to do that, because otherwise I cannot travel. So, but then of course, I mean, I made a journey which started in Bratislava. And followed this year mainly the new clubs and the small clubs, to be honest. I mean, to the newcomer teams and the small ones. So started in Bratislava, very impressed about the venue. The game was there where the World Championship happened. So I was really impressed about the venue and the whole setup and the professionalism of the club. And then I went for the first time to the Ukraine, to Kiev. And there, I mean, it was a huge visit. I mean, they were so proud, so happy to have the CEO and communication director was mainly, and they really celebrated the whole event. And when the game started, it looked like a final. I mean, the whole opening show was with drums and fire and everything, was a huge show. I mean, I was really happy to see a sold-out arena and lots of fans and cheering for their team. So really good atmosphere. And from there, we went to traveled on the day after again to Munich, and from there to Poland. I mean, it's if I tell that people, I mean, they cannot even believe that you can be in 4 different countries in 4 days. We went to Paris, we traveled to Rouen on the day after. We went up to Denmark, to Copenhagen, to Rungsted. And as I said, I mean, mainly I try to support and to see the small ones. And the good thing is, on the first leg, for example, I was at Rögle, a team which was qualified last year already, but couldn't play. So it was really tough. So I was really happy to have them again this year. And I was so impressed about the management, because, I mean, it's not only, as I said, on ice. I mean, they showed us their new venue and their plans they have. So they played in a smaller venue due to the fact that they have a reconstruction on the main venue. So we had interesting discussion there and shared those information. And then we went up to Leksand. And again, I mean, that particular game was sold out in 2 hours. So, I mean, meeting those people, talking as well with fans. I mean, when I was in Rögle, I mean, I was visiting my own fan base from Zug, where I live. I mean, they played that night against Zug. So, I mean, I went to those fans. I introduced myself, said, hey, listen, I'm from your hometown. And I mean, had a chat with them. And quite often, I really go even to fans which travel and make handshakes and help them and tell them that I'm really happy to see them. I mean, I really appreciate when they travel, when they do those journeys. So I really like those things. And those are really the nice things. And of course, I hope quite often for the home team that they win. I mean, I have to be neutral, but I mean, me when I visit the game, I'm not that neutral because by then I have my favorite team and I hope that the home team wins because I mean it's always nice. But if you have an underdog, I mean, quite often I'm cheering for the underdog. So it's. If you would know me, you would see that I'm quite in when they play, and I really, think a lot for the product and what can we do better, and it's the goal to speak with many people as possible. And quite often I visit as well the broadcasting company just to see. I mean, in the meantime, I know exactly. I mean, the quality difference between the different broadcasts. I mean, which broadcasting team goes the extra mile and has a camera more or a micro there or additional on top. I mean, that helps to make our product even better on TV. So,
absolutely,
without doing that, there's no progress.
It's nice to hear that a CEO gets so excited into the games just as much as like a fan that pays however much for a ticket to go and sit in the stands. I love to hear that, and I'm sure any CHL fan, any hockey fan would love to hear that as well. So that's great. And the fact you mentioned traveling to 4 different countries in Europe in 4 days, like I've been over here in Montreal for the last few months, and I explain it to them like in Central Europe you can just drive between countries. Like it takes you a few hours to get through a few different countries, and the idea and the concept just like blows their mind when I'm over here, because obviously they have America and Canada, and that's kind of the 2 main ones because obviously they're huge countries. So the thought of traveling between even more countries in a short span of time just like blows their mind. But you've mentioned kind of you going to Zug and shaking hands with everyone and really like trying to get yourself in the trenches with a game day experience. Has there been any noteworthy interactions that you've had with fans or players, not just this season, but over the years, that have really stuck with you for better or worse? I'd love to hear about them.
Well, it happens every single season that maybe a coach or a team manager is not happy at all with a certain decision. I mean, I was attacked also in the past a couple of times, but then I think you have to be calm. Quite often, I mean, when I travel, I mean, we have an internal system where I see after every period already the game reports from all the other games. And since I'm involved in different committees, I mean, not in the disciplinary committee, but I get the results on my ear. Of course, we have to take certain decisions. I mean, there were certain penalties, certain very tough sport decision. And once again, I think there you have to be calm and maybe sleep a night over. And if you get a very tough or nasty phone call from a CEO or from a president which is not happy, try to calm him down and explain and see, okay, have a look 12 hours later on the same situation and then let's talk again. So, I mean, that can happen. And the same goes for fan groups. I mean, we hope that, I like enthusiastic fans but sometimes, if they pass or cross a certain line, again, I mean, it's not crisis management, but it goes into that direction. You have to, to have a clear head and take a decision and act step by step and involve again the right people. I mean, we have not a lot of time to take our decision. I mean, if we have a game day on Thursday, you have to come up with a harmonized feedback the day after, because on Saturday we have already the next game. So those decision has to be taken serious. And I mean, in the end, this all goes with credibility. I mean, we have to make sure that we make no mistake on those things, and that we take the right decision. Player safety first, for sure.
Absolutely, and I can very much imagine that for the most part, your interactions with players and fans is generally very positive. And obviously, and of course, I would imagine fans are very excited when they're at the arena, and they let you know that they're very excited when they're at the arena.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, there's always, every once in a while, some people that try to cross the line, and that's, like you mentioned, you have to be on top of that, and you have to stay calm in the moment in order to proceed the correct way. So, and that's important. It's very important. Now, I know you're not supposed to show favourites, but I have a few questions here that might show a few favourites here. So, if you let's go through them, and if you don't want to answer any, I more than understand. But I'll start you off with an easy one. Since your time as CEO, which has been the arena, the CHL Arena, during the competition that's been your most favourite to visit, whether it's a one-time off that the experience has just stuck with you forever, or one that you've been able to go to multiple times? And also, adding on to that question, this season, which one's been the best arena that you've been to so far this season?
Very difficult. I mean, no question. All the venues where we had finals, doesn't matter about the infrastructure, were a highlight. Doesn't matter was it Frölunda, even in the small arena, in the big arena, or up in the north in Oulu. Mostly, I mean, a final is always an unbelievable event. Vecchio was, I mean, but every year we topped our final. I mean, having a final in Radec Králové where Mountfield played is definitely was a huge effort to make that, or to use that for a final. But all of a sudden, I mean, it was sold out, and we had even more spectators than allowed in our venue. It was great. So that's for sure. Other than that, I would say Augsburg was unbelievable due to the fact that the fans were just crazy, and the atmosphere and everything was brilliant. Mostly where you have fans which sing, which loud. I mean, I need this emotion. I think it's much more attractive if you have loud fans, and that's the reason I mostly prefer. Sweden is not that crowded or not that loud, so same goes for Finland. So in Germany or in Switzerland, or as well sometimes in Czech, where fans singing and have choreos and stuff like this is something I really like.
And what about so far this season? Is there a arena that stuck out to you so far?
Which was the best one so far this season? Difficult one to be little bit neutral. Leksand was great. Leksand was Rögle was in a small venue, as I said, was loud. I would say those two were really nice. France, Rouen, they were singing constantly, but then I have also to follow the sport a bit. I mean, for example, Zurich AFK Helsinki was so nice, was unbelievable good. I mean, this was amazing. I mean, that was a drama pure as well when Zurich played Frölunda. So that was on a very, very, very high level sport device. And sometimes I really like that one as well, of course, for obvious reason. If you really have a tight game, tough game, where you see playoff already in August, that's great as well, of course.
I was going to mention, my follow-up question was, which game that you've seen in person so far this season do you think has been the best one or the most exciting one? Would you say that game is probably answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Good to know. Now, Another question I have, which is following on from this again, is there a team within Europe that hasn't competed within the Champions Hockey League yet that you'd like to see get the chance over the next few years? Is there one team that you think, whether it's their fan base, the arena, the infrastructure, that you think if they had the opportunity to compete in the Champions Hockey League, you would jump at the chance to go and see them when they took part?
That's probably the most difficult question, because I always compare it to football, and I think we have to create those Real, Barca, Man U, Chelsea's, and I think we are not there right now. Frölunda is something like Chelsea or Man U or Bayern, whatever, but we need more of those, infrastructure-wise, fan-wise, sporty-wise. And we have to make sure that we have them every year in the competition doing well. But as I said, we also need different Barças or different Bayern Munich's. If you have every year Barca winning the cup, it's not great fun for the others. So it's still a way to go. There are only 3 teams this year in the Champions Hockey League who played all the season. So that's EV2. It's Tampere from Finland, and it's Frölunda. So those are our big 3 teams. But sporty-wise, Tampere was not very successful in the playoffs. The same goes for Zug. So again, it's only Frölunda. But I wish that we have more Frölundas in the future.
Absolutely. So there's no specific European team that you'd want to have in? You didn't think I was going to give you easy questions the entire interview, did you, Martin? Come on. So I've got a couple of like lightning round questions, so a couple of quick ones that just to get your thoughts on this and kind of get to know a little bit more about your hockey fandom. So your favorite hockey team? No pressure. This can be in general, like if it's like a childhood team that you followed or your hometown team, any team in general. Doesn't have to be in the Champions Hockey League this year.
Well, of course, it's pretty obvious. Living in Zug, having the team I like them. They do brilliant. But I'm also very tough with those guys because it's probably the team which is treated by us by far the toughest because. We really like to force them in everything. We test every single idea with them as well. So let's say Zug. As born here, living here, I have to say that.
Oh, and especially if it's the team that you follow, you're obviously going to be hardest on the team that you follow the most because you're going to be the one to openly look at it the most. So I get it. What about the National Hockey League? Do you have a favourite team in the NHL in North America?
Yeah, Maple Leaf.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah. When did that fandom start then?
Well, a couple of years ago. You follow those ones since many years. You see that they haven't performed well in the past, but nevertheless, you hope and cheer for them. But I was also impressed about Vegas. To be honest, I never expected them so strong. So that was definitely a huge surprise. And so I would say those 2 teams I'm following. And then of course you follow all the teams which have Swiss players.
Yes.
For this reason, you know where they play and you watch them. In Europe, I would say Swedish league is definitely it's very high class hockey, and it's nice to follow those guys as well. But it goes with my job to follow all the leagues, and every night I go through their rankings and lists and see how they did and how my teams from Champions Hockey League did. So that's personal interest anyway.
Absolutely. And so you're a Leafs fan. Do you think they're going to win the 2021 Stanley Cup? Who do you think the Stanley Cup champion is going to be this year, Martin?
It's a shame, probably not the Leafs.
Yeah?
Difficult to say. No clue right now. It's too early.
Okay, I agree. It is too early, but I thought I'd get your thoughts anyway while I had you here, Martin. Okay, so moving it back to the Champions Hockey League, do you have an idea who do you think could potentially win the Champions Hockey League this year? Now that we've seen some of the games, obviously we're nowhere near playoffs yet, but if you had to make a prediction right now, who do you think it would be?
Well, let's analyze it a bit statistically. Right now, if we go through Group A, it's a huge surprise how the German team Penguins Bremerhaven played so far. So it's that this is quite, but it would be a huge surprise if they go further. I mean, Vecchio Lakers in this group is quite well. Then we have probably the strongest group is the group with Frölunda, AFK, and ZSC. Once again, I mean, we spoke a lot about Frölunda. Another team from Germany which performs so far quite well is Adler Mannheim. Then we have Munich, also a tough group with Rögle. Tampere, so far 10 points, definitely a very strong performance. Fribourg, a Swiss team, 12 points, not bad, qualified already. So I believe it will be not a Swedish team this year. That's maybe hope, but let's see. I go this year for a German team or for a Finnish team.
I think that'd be pretty huge for a German team to win the Champions Hockey League. I mean, they've obviously, one of them's made the finals, but in order to go all the way and win it would be huge.
Well, it was very close with Munich in the past. I mean, it was that close. You never know. Let's see.
So what about the best all-round Champions Hockey League team this year? So the one from the top to the bottom of their lineup, regardless of whether they win the championship or not, which team in the CHL this year do you think, if you looked at their roster, you think they are the best team on paper, the best team from the top of their lineup to the bottom, if you had to pick one?
I see that from a different angle because I sometimes also like, I watch and follow the rosters, but sometimes I'm also impressed if I see teams with unbelievable player and not the stars from the NHL or from the KHL, more about very unique talents. So, for example, Rögle with a guy which is born 2004, already plays first line, great talent. I mean, I like those teams which have really. Which gives them the trust and the confidence to use them, and I mean, give them the trust and use them in game on international level. And that's there. I pay a lot of respect to them. So Rögle, I mean, teams which also use that tournament to give young players the chance to show their talent internationally. Because I mean, to be honest, this is our goal. To give the star on ice a platform where they can show their talent, and I mean that's one of our values, and that's the reason why for me that counts more than having a team which have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 imports, big stars, and of course they manage the team to win. So again, smaller teams with their own young player and a coach which gives them the chance to play international.
Absolutely. And that means so much to a lot of these players' development as well. So, final question. Which team do you think is the dark horse team within the CHL this year? An underdog team that many people might not have thought they'd do particularly very well, but they've managed to put themselves in the playoff picture so far this season, and you think they've turned a lot of heads this year and actually got a few people to think, we were wrong about this team. Which is the dark horse team that you think has done that and then could potentially have a pretty decent run when the playoffs start, if they make it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making these easy for you, am I, Martin?
Definitely not, yeah, looks like. Let's see. It's not Cardiff this year.
No?
It's gone already.
Yeah.
A team which is definitely further than I thought is Penguin Bremerhaven.
Yeah.
And if they would have the chance, for example, at game day 1 and 2 to use their best roster, which they hadn't due to the fact that the team played, or many players had to play in the domestic national teams due to the Olympic qualification, they would be the further. So, to be honest, I think this team was really, really a surprise for me. Really a surprise.
Interesting. And let's hope that they keep doing well as the Champions Hockey League season carries on. Martin, It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to talk to me. And thank you for giving my mainly North American viewers the chance to get to know a little bit more about the Champions Hockey League and one of the men in charge. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really looking forward to what you do with this huge interview. 50 minutes nearly. Really looking forward. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And there you go. That was my interview with the CEO of the Champions Hockey League, Martin Baumann. A big thank you once again to Martin for taking time out of what I can only assume is a very busy schedule to sit down and have a chat with me for 40 minutes. It's not as if it was like a 5-10 minute interview. He quickly slotted it into his schedule. He gave me 40 minutes of his time, which was really nice of him, especially given the busy job I can imagine he has as the CEO of an inter-European hockey league. He's probably a very busy guy, folks, so a huge thank you to him for taking time out of his schedule to come and talk to me and let you guys know about the Champions Hockey League, talk to me and inform me about some of the stuff that us as fans don't really know behind the scenes. So yeah, that was the interview. What did you guys think about the interview with Martin? Did you enjoy it? Did you think I asked some good questions? Do you think I could have asked some different questions? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Also, is there another person within the hockey world that you'd like me to interview? Do let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you have any suggestions, I'll try and hit them up and see if we can get an interview going. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Saeed and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.